I'm sorry troops, but I'm committing 90 minutes twice or 3 times a week to watch Rangers, and it's leaving me eternally bored. At least we managed by the skin of our teeth to scrape by against a 10-man St Mirren, and that's the biggest positive for today's video. What more can we really ask for this Rangers team, who've been so disappointing for the start of the season? To scrape by St Mirren, get the 3 points, and to go second in the league once again is really all we're entitled to for this bunch of players at the moment. But dearie me, does nobody else just want to tune out 20 minutes into the game? This team of players that we have right now are truly dreadful to watch. They're slow, lethargic and boring, and they've got us fans settling for, at least Lovely's played well, at least Seema looks decent. It's not good enough. This sort of attitude won't warrant success in the long run, especially in this season. If we continue in this trajectory with the pace of our play, with the lack of energy and intensity that's been there for the start of the season, then we'll win absolutely hee-haw. Rangers, watching them is frustrating. The only team that I can watch consistently run half of the pitch and still manage to turn back and pass it to the centre half. Is it really much to ask for when you're up against a 10-man St Mirren to be a bit more positive on the ball? To, attempt the forward pass for our midfielders, to take the ball in and not just immediately knock it back the way, but to take it in, hold it, either play it wide or to turn on the ball, start driving at the opposition. Clearly it is too much to ask for, because we're seeing so little of it. And look, it's fine, we won. We got the 3 points. We beat St Mirren 3-0 after struggling against 10 men for a substantial period of the match. But the result is no really all I'm looking for, because with the lack of quality performances that these players are able to put in and muster up week in, week out, it's going to be hard to compete for anything. We will be humiliated at Parkhead if we show up and play the way we've been playing recently, right? So I'm not just thinking about the next game against St Mirren or the next game. I'm not really thinking about the game against St Mirren where we managed to beat their 10 men 3-0. I'm thinking about the big European games coming up. I'm thinking about your Old Firm at Parkhead at the end of the year, because trust me, what I'm seeing of these players and what I've seen of these players consistently is just sheer lethargy and passiveness. We've got Raskin, who was straight in the door talking about how he's got ambitions to play in the Premier League, how Rangers is but merely a stepping stone. But what I want to say to Nico Raskin, see if you're not doing it with Rangers, you have absolutely no chance of doing it in the Premier League, son. Our midfield are getting found out week in, week out. They give the ball away too easily, and they just simply seem to be all over the place. But I think I've said enough of that over the last 8 weeks, so let's start to look at some of the positives for today. We've got Lovelace, who starts and looks really good. Doesn't look out of place at all. And as good as it is to see a young academy prospect get his opportunity, how depressing is it, how sad is it that we simply need to turn to our academy prospects at this moment in time because the likes of Cyril Dreadful are no good enough for Rangers? After all the big rebuild, look at us now, 2 months into the season, relying on our academy players to pull us out a hole. And fair play to the boys, when their opportunity's been given to them, they managed to step up and no look out of place at all. Honestly, I wish Beale had pulled the trigger on some of the academy players more quickly than this. But Davis is in. He's made a clear statement to Dessers today that you are not good enough. So either get the finger out, or Lovelace or McCausland will be starting in front of you. How embarrassing for you, Cyril Dessers. Dessers, the guy who gets the opportunity of the day, one-on-one as well, and absolutely duffs it, and who, to be honest, is non-existent for the period of time that he did come on the park. Another positive, I suppose, is that one of our summer loanees, Abdullah Seema, actually looks like he would be a half-decent player if he did have some people to support him. I mean, he's looking alright, decent, in this shower of absolute shit. So what can he do if other players started to pull their weight also. And what can we say about James Tavernier, who on my last video I said should be stripped of the Rangers captaincy because he's unfit to lead this team, he's unfit to be Rangers captain. But I will say also that that was not always my stance. I have said for the beginning of the season that Tavernier is able to do what he done today, puts the penalties away when the pressure is right on, and he manages to come up with absolute worldies. But I'm sure Tavernier knows as well as us as fans that his level, as well as the whole level of the back four and everybody else in front of them, to be honest, is way below where it should be, where it needs to be if we want to compete domestically and on the European front. So I'm glad that Stephen Davis decided to make that change today by bringing in Lovelace for the start, and then when he went off injured, like our players do whenever they play a decent game, to bring on McCausland in his place and really signal to Dessers and Lammers that, look lads, I don't care how much you were signed for, I don't care if you were part of this summer rebuild, if you're not good enough you won't play, and it's simple as that. And they simply haven't been good enough. But there's a number of players in there who started today, the likes of Tavernier, who I will cut him some slack after that today, putting away the penalty and scoring an absolute worldie yet again. But there's some other players in that team who still are only pulling their weight and who probably would be replaced and should be replaced if there was personnel there to replace them with. But aye, this is the sort of experience we're having as fans now. We're beating St Mirren away 3-0 and yet still we're frustrated for the majority of the game. Still we're bored to death for the majority of the game. And like I say, the result is good, but performances like that will leave you getting dismantled by big teams in the big games at big stages in the season. And we simply can't afford to slip up anymore in the league. We dropped more points in the season and the league title was absolutely beyond redemption. But my fear, and I'm sure a fear in most Rangers fans, is that if we continue to perform like that and we've got one or two individuals maybe just doing okay or looking half decent at least, our chance of competing in any front this season is all but a goner. So now we're coming into international break, some respite for that atrociousness of the last few weeks. Who do you see being appointed as Rangers manager? Who's your favourite? Who would you want to be appointed? Do you think the appointed manager can turn this team around? Because I'm struggling to honestly see how they go about it. But I'll tell you what, for me, a key attribute this manager has to bring to the team is that we must play with more energy. We must play with more intensity. We can't just be comfortable in possession and comfortable playing the easy pass, knocking it back to our centre backs repeatedly over and over and over again. Because I'll tell you what, it's no good to watch. I need to get up after I've watched Rangers play and shake myself off, go for a shower, go for a run, do something that changes my frame of mind, because watching that team, the negativity just sticks to you. At least that's the experience I've been having watching this team for the season's start. I'm glad, and I'm sure you'll be glad, that we're all getting a bit of a rest for watching this team over the next fortnight or so. I'm sorry, but I can't say I'm optimistic, regardless of who we bring in, that things for this team are going to turn around. At least they're not going to turn around quickly. I would like to say I'm hopeful that somebody can come in here, read the riot act, and get a tune out of these players, but for me, I just don't see it. I do not see it. And it's okay to say, oh, Seema looked good, Lovelace looked good, McCausland looked good when he come on, but one or two players, they're not going to get you anything over the span of a season, especially with the amount of injuries we seem to be picking up week in, week out. But dearie me, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm more wrong than I've ever been, and we do see a new appointment in the door, and he does get a tune out of some of these players who have been consistently underperforming. And by God, I hope whoever the new manager is brings in a new style of play so that these games are worth taking up 180 minutes of my week for. Because as the Rangers fans made clear with a banner of the day, this team has been heartless, passionless and lifeless. They've no been fit to wear the Rangers jersey. I hope they can prove me wrong, prove the people wrong that held up the banner of the day, and prove everybody wrong. But for what I've seen of this team, it doesn't strike me that that's going to be the case. Again, like I say, I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, leave your comments below and let me know what you thought of today's performance. Whether the result was enough for you, or you would like to see more quality, more energy and more of everything, honestly, for this Rangers team. Let me know as well who you think the next Rangers manager should be. and whether you truly think that whoever comes in the door can get a tune out of this mob. So I enjoy the international break, maybe treat yourself to some good football, tune into the Moldova-Ukraine game or something like that, because truly I feel for you as well as myself being subjected to that misery over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully it turns around after the international break, but I won't be holding my breath. To the Rangers players, it's now up to you to prove us wrong. To the academy players who are coming in and getting their chance, it's time for you to step up. For the likes of Seema and Butland, players who are playing decently, it's time for you to grab a hold and pull up every other player around about you. For James Tavernier, it's time for you to really fulfil your role as captain, to make it clear to every other single player in that park that this cannot and should not go on. Not Rangers Football Club. Things need to change radically, rapidly, or we as fans will continue to breathe down your neck. I hope we get the new appointment in sooner rather than later, and until the next time, I'll see you then.